Mtg. Okay, first of all, there's 56 accounts within the general fund based on this document that they have given to me. Okay, it's 56 general fund money. It says this is all unrestricted money. That general fund, because it's all unrestricted money. It's not federal money, it belongs to the Crow Nation. And with my experience, you guys can maneuver, let's say, that 27,000, go that I got. 27 million, go that 374,158 for that. That's the figure that I'm working with for now. Okay. On page 8, Crow Tribe prepared June 2012 budget FY13. Large budget, if this was the actual budget, 10/1/12 to September 30th, 2012. That's each line item budget within the general fund. Crow Tribe prepared. The first one on there is elected administration. Or 13, my okay. The first one, go to 3,895,745. And figure go that.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chair. Go ahead. I just wanted to clarify some things. We didn't pass this budget. Okay, I understand that. Okay, the budget we did pass was based on another budget that was amended. And De La Gou, as clarification, this travel money that we can shift it around wherever we want. That are you familiar with the Fiscal Management Act? The Fiscal Management Act is you can shift around up to 400,000. Anything beyond that has to come here for approval. Because I think that needs to be understood. That way, the BT suit, that way everything's clear. All right. In the numbers, I get constitutional reform, and I got that one on that amended one. Remember that the chairman, the ex-chairman, agreed to it too at that time. It was 1.550. Remember? And then what we did pass was 1/4 of that total budget up to the end of December 31st. And he was supposed to only be allowed to expend up to 1/4 of the total budget according to each line item. And Mazap's I just wanted to make that clarification. Oh.
And outside revenue, bonus one.
Somebody have a calculator? That's an every life. Calculator, you got that. Okay. That is 27,374,058. And subtract 3,067,594. Now, again, and I think last sheet for the audience, you guys see a figure that says 22 million. Based there, remember you mentioned that we may only have 22 million to work with. Yeah,
23 million.
23 million south.
23,716,000 $58,464.
Okay, so this would be, $3,008, and then $3,657,594 how it so far from October 1st to so it. So 2 million for that. 23 million. 760,464. Okay, let's subtract 23,760,464 from this 3,657,594. So now 23 million, let's say the scenario figure that he submitted, AQM from October 1st to November 30th. And that does not include yesterday's salaries, annual leave, or any outstanding expenses that are sitting in accounts payable.
20 million, 58,870.
Okay, so basically, if we use this figure, we have 20,058,870 available from December 1st up to September 30th. December 1st up to using Doogie's figure of 23 million. But we're not sure, like severance tax monies, because of the low productivity, the severance tax money will be probably pretty much greatly reduced what we're expecting each quarter. And that severance tax money, with my experience, they used to pay us each quarter, like October, November, and December. Call that when I used to handle that, the BIA week, because production was in full force. So like the ending December, we do not get that money until January, middle part of January, with that G. Just like the light bill, with that. Light bill, you get it December, but you don't have to pay it till January 10th. So that's how that severance tax and the royalty money works. Royalty and severance. So anyway, based on that, we don't know how much revenue we get for severance tax, or oil and gas, or all the other revenues that I need to familiarize myself with. But for now, the revenue that the BIA will allow us, they're the ones that send us the money, from what I understand. They do an electronic transfer from the BIA account to the tribal account. It's called an electronic transfer, the drawdown. So I don't know whether they give it to you guys per quarter, or they give it to you in one lump check once you guys pass the budget. Okay.
Question, Mayor Ziaga. The 3,657,594 was spent from October 1st to December 1st.
Actually, November 30th, right, you did.
Yeah, November 30th. So that's just 2 months, Jay. Is what we expended. And I know that I'm hearing you on the side here, but yet we passed December 31st, and I'm trying to get everybody on board. He's saying December 1st to September 30th now, we have $20,058,870.
How many months is that?
That'd be 10 months of it.
Divide that 20,058,870 by 10 months. By 10 months.
Yeah, it's 10. It's 10 today. Because we're
starting December 1st. Yeah. So we can average. We can average that much as far as prorating it by each month. Divide that by 10 months. This balance there. And that's how much we have to.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the Revenue Committee. We're basing a lot of discussion on money that is not going to come to the Crow Tribe. unless the legislature gives final approval to the IMDA agreements, which we don't even know at this point if executives can support those any longer, or whether our business partners are going to maintain the offer on the table. There's too much speculation in that amount, 27.2. There's $4.8 million that was all tied to bonus payments to the tribe that may or may not come. Those probably should not even be in the budget. In addition, there's a very substantial amount of money, over $2 million, that's tied to the tax credit for Indian coal production under federal law that's valid beginning January 1st, unless Congress extends that tax credit. That money should not be budgeted either, unless there's going to be some language addressing the perhaps inevitable shortfall that would result. There's probably in sum about $7 million that needs to be subtracted from what's actually been spent to date on a 3-month budget extension. And if you wanted to budget real money, that's the way you would do it. Otherwise, you can budget money that may or may not ever come. But remember, the Natural Resource Committee has resolved that that signing bonus from Cloud Peak is not going to be in the general fund.
I don't want to get ahead of I think we're getting a little bit ahead. I understand, and I was going to bring those up.
So anyway, on an average, and let's pretend we are working with this $20 million on the average. If we spend, per se, let's say we don't spend $2 million. Let's say we spend $1.5 million each month instead of $2 million per se. So what? And now what leave us in the black, basically. But what I want to do is, it's going to be a lot of work on my end, but the basic figure is to be running in the black come September 30th. Hopefully. You know, it's going to be it, because after all, there's a lot of people, I want this right now. You know how it is. So come September 30th, we'll try to be in a black. Not try, but we need to be in a black. Because from what I heard, at one time, Kristen did try to explain to the previous administration that you are using your money too fast and you're going to run out of money. But they did listen, and I don't know what fiscal year that was, but they went under by $4 million. Coach Jake, from what I heard. And I want to avoid that same scenario come September 30th. And like the lawyer had mentioned, there's money that might think it's going to come in, and if we include that in the budget, then all of a sudden, hey, we decide not to give you this money, the $2 million or whatever it is. And so the reality figure, I'm not exactly sure where we're going to be at as far as the revenue goes, but you guys may know what is the exact amount that the BI will give us for this fiscal year. Does anybody know? Like, I didn't give us $20 million from the interest money from the 107. Does anybody have an idea of how much we'll be getting on that? How much did they give us last year? You remember? The exact amount cash from the BIA. Sorry,
$3,205,000.
last year, what is it? That's all they give us, huh?
Yep.
Really was. The 107 monies. I'll be darned. And anyway, let's say, this is like, I'm just forecasting. Let's say come July 31st, we only have, let's say, 1.5 available, ending July 31st, for instance. 1.5 million available, and we're spending $2 million a month on the average. In August and September, we spend $2 million. We're going to go in the red by about $1 million. And this is just a thought. Some people ain't going to like it. But come June 30th, each month I'll report to you guys at the
give me about 10 days after each month to keep telling you guys how much money we have left. Allow me about 10 days. Once everything is posted, let's say come May 30th, maybe about June 10th, whatever. Doesn't have to be an official meeting, but just to kind of gather, and I'll tell you guys what's available come those times. So in that case, let's say we only have $1 million left. And if I was the chairman, based on, because I'm going to run out of money, in 13, 12, yeah, 27 million. So that's what I was working with. I got that 27 million could have, based on this document here. But like he said, that's state water, so is it safe to say that we can use this? I mean, you guys probably know more about it than I do at this point. And this is the actual amount, right? That's for sure. It's 27,374,058 could that. And that's what I based this on, based on this. For sure, we're thinking it's safe to say that. But if we're not sure, then we're gonna do this figuration. Let's say 23 million or 22 million, whatever. Christian thinks that we can only work with 22 million at this point.
I gave him that copy, we're gonna have to get you up to speed. Yeah. I mean, I'll get Darren without any figures, projected revenue and then we can deal with the projected revenue that comes in at a drop of a hat. You know, we can probably, have make amendments to that. And Michi's I'll go to Sagik, projected revenue, Kristen Johnson always wanted that projected revenue. We're giving you a blank check is what we're actually doing. At the end of the year, Jay Shucks found out that there was like 3 million, 4 million since 2005 that never came for our approval. And after the audit report, the actual what came in, shoot up to 3-4 million without it approved from the general fund budget.
Oh, another thought too is who will be the finance guy from here that who's the designatee to like finance guy?
That's
okay, that's good because he knows numbers pretty good too. In college too. And I think like he needs to come over tomorrow his own meeting, brainstorm, bring out civic right group to just keep that open dialogue going.
Yeah.
Okay. Almost constantly, steady, not every day, but maybe every other day. That open communication, that's so important.
Yeah, with Kristen last year, I want to be in the black when September 30th comes. 2 years ago, it is 1.5 million got them borrowed, and somehow we projected we were going to make from July to September 30th. We were going to make it with our budget. But I know they doctored the numbers and we came short. And that was an embarrassment to the Revenue Committee as well as to the branch. In 2 weeks, they're going to lay off football. There's 2 weeks left. Shoot, let's shut down for 2 weeks. That way we don't have to borrow this 1.5 million. And kung Kristen Johnson Aiken and a lot of young, you know what Bagari. I actually pahit local Kanaskoai. Biowa Kukoe. And at the same time, the 4 officers went to Denver to DMD. They left. And then we said, okay, And Bill Watt, I quit. Bill Watt, he quit. Ishkiwin, Kamali or Yomaki. Gotta go anyways, so that was 2 years ago, 2010, go get there, 2011, last year, 5.6 million, there is, Karun Kanyos.
I remember that.
And in that budget ball, somehow they doctored it that we weren't going to make it to September 30th. We knew we were going to make it to September 30th.
Just you guys legislators budget.
Yeah.
Go. Yeah.
To force us to say yes to the 1.5 million. And so we did. And hey, Shred, and after that, hey, Bill, the committee, I said, work closely with Kristen. They go, hey, every week goes out. We want an expenditure, at least know where our budget is. Kaya go siya sa mga kung kaya politik kaya kahahil kim ka patang ka after. So that's kind of a history that we just come out of. And I get itchy, but have a dialogue with open dialogue every week or brainstorm with Bill. And it should be that way.
What is Sayushma the page? October 1st to 9/30/12. I'm still trying to get to that. And great question, Mark. How much did they actually spend at Balachtakohu with that? There's still a lot of encumbrances that need to be paid September 30th. And code. So once that finalized, I gotta start getting ready for the audit go right off the bat go. And I shared this with the legislators. I mean, it's just a thought. I don't want to shove it down anybody's throat, but I advised the elected administration that we go back to the 2-week payroll schedule. I mean, it's just a thought. The reason I'm doing that is there's only 3 people in accounts or payroll. In that 1-week pay schedule, I'm going to use this as a scenario. Okay, let's say I'm real busy trying to get something done, and Sean Backbone says, I want this done today. This afternoon, 8 auditor comes in and throws this on my desk and says, I want this done today. So I gotta sit back and try to determine which one I need to get done first. Because if I don't get it done, I'll get thrown out that door. But anyway, the case over there is they're trying to balance out the accounting under the payroll. And they try to work on it, and they submit their timesheets. We want to get paid on Tuesday for the last week, and that's creating a big accounting dilemma for the people in finance. And there's only 3 of them, and that's the reason I wanted to go back to 2 weeks. I mean, it's just, but this is what Kristen said. Kristen is Cindy. We can go ahead and keep the payroll for those things that that can be done. But as far as on our end, we want to go back to that 2 weeks starting January, so that will give the accountants time to try to. I bet they have a stack about probably like this to try to just 3 people, and I'm trying to get some more people in there to help out with that. But it's a challenge on my part to do that. Then in the meantime, I am trying to, all the filing, all the boxes that are in there, I'm going to try to get them all filed in order so that when auditors come February or March, I can be prepared for them. So that's only 3 months goes by real fast. Goes by real fast. So anyway, it's a big challenge on my part. I worked with him before at Housings. I'm not that I'm bragging, but you remember Housings was a mess. And I took care of it that time. And it took me quite a while to straighten it out that time, but we got it going, and we got the ball rolling until I got fired because of the change of administration. We get fired.
And again, the speaker has a comment.
Thank you, Chair. I have to excuse my voice, I'm still dealing with the cold, but from the legislative point of view, you know, you're taking your advice, and you're listening to Kristen Johnson, and right now, we the branch, we've received a lot of false reports and information from Kristen Johnson, so there's no trust in the CPA on this side, because later on we hear things, and then the things we hear turn out to be the truth, but it doesn't come from her. It comes from other sources when this information should be coming from her. I'll give you an example. At one point, she tells us we have $120,000, or we have over $100,000 carryover. So we start looking at, okay, what are we gonna do with that carryover? Then later on, we ask for the carryover, and she says, no, there was no carryover, and sends us another email saying there was no carryover. So from that time on, we don't trust her. So I think you're gonna have to maybe get another CPA to come in and kind of help you with it or something, because you're dealing with someone who's dealt with the old regime, and she's gonna have to cover herself now. So I'm just telling you that so that you can kind of understand that we've been dealing with them for the past 3 years. And under this past administration, there's a lot of shifting and commingling of funds and cover-ups. And that's where we want to be exposed. And that's why we have new leadership in there now, as we want things to be done right. And I think it's going to have to be changing her. You're going to have to direct her to do things right. Right, and you're going to have to ask for the truth on stuff from her.
I think what was happening is, which one of these can I use for example? Let's say LG support. Let's say executive is already in the red by, let's say, 47,000. They went over by 47,000. So it's a negative right there already. In the individual accounts. So let's say, I keep telling LG support, hey, you guys do have 50,000 left. And they think they got money to spend. LG support. So okay, let's go ahead and spend that money. But in reality, it's like, since robbing Peter to pay Paul, even though it might appear that these guys have 50,000 left, basically there's only $3,000 available for these guys in scenario. And I think that's what was happening. The administration, I'm not putting anybody down, but a lot of people, when it comes to money and accounting, the only thing that they know is a timesheet and a paycheck. A lot of people, 90% of the Crow people do not understand accounting. There's the trial balances, there's the balance sheets, there's the audit, there's the revenue, the expenses is the most important of all. And like you said, I'm just kind of feeling my way around, okay? And today, I just now set up I'm able to get into finance now. Today, just before I left, I had that set up. So I'll be able to, again, report to you guys and keep that open dialogue going. Maybe I'll Bill, come on over, this is what we need to do. And, as far as working with Kristen, I work with emails real close. I send her an email today. If she doesn't respond, what I do is this is a second email requesting. So if you guys need to request something, you know, you guys ask me, I'm pretty sure I can get it now with me logged into the system now. And as I mentioned earlier, let's say this was the actual cash that we have today, and did you know thing? He bought it up. This is unrestricted money, see, the good since it's tribal cash with him. We might be able to be 10% for anybody, 10% could it. But you guys are saying that, let's say the operating is almost out of money, but there's some money here, like under waste that hasn't been used. Okay, we're not using waste, so let's move this 8,900 into operating. I do that. Okay, does that require you guys' approval here for that amount for that?
The amount is it's 200,000.
Oh, okay, 200,000 I require.
You have up to 200,000.
Okay.
Or 50% of the budget.
From the general fund. From the general
It's in
fund.
the general fund, yeah.
Okay. But that needs you guys' approval or that.
I put that fiscal management, a copy of the fiscal management on your, with your paper.
Okay. Because usually, net federal monies, when we work with federal monies, anything under 10% does not need the grantee's, how would I say, approval. Yeah. But anything over 10%, like let's say 20,000, the money still remains at 20,000, but let's say travel, I'm over by let's say $100 for next year. But I can go and look at from supplies into travel, but anything above that 10%, I need approval from the funding agency. And there's that scenario. And then another option that I tell people in a simple way is, okay, I'm giving you this $100 for federal money. I want you to buy $50 worth of Pepsi. Even if I bought that $50 worth of Pepsi, and if I don't have a receipt for that Pepsi can, it's a disallowed cost. And if I say, here's $50 to buy Pepsi, instead of buying Pepsi, oh, I need some calculators. So I bought $50 worth of calculators, but and I bought in a receipt. I bought in a receipt, but I didn't say to buy calculators. Even though I have a receipt, it's a disallowed cost. So with this federal money, that's how it works. And apparently, from what I gather, what is the cops called? 500,000 for that question, go do it. And we used to set up we hate to do it, but we have to. Bad debt expense, right, Jack? Bad debt expense, right? Like that federal money that they misuse. If the government says move out our money back for all of this allowed costs, we get that. We, as the tribe, will have to pay that back, whether you guys want to or not. It's their mistake, but we have to pay for it because that's the government's request. In 1984, the OIGs were at the tribal office, and they were there for 1 whole year. They camped here in Harlem, 8 to 5, sometimes after 5 o'clock they were there. There was about 1 million pieces of paper, but they overturned every piece of paper. Over that. They overturned every, and nobody was indicted. And all they wanted was not much the tribal monies, but it was mostly all federal money. They said okay, all this is all it costs. We want our money back, so we had to
Pay it back.
And that came out of the general fund, and that's something we need to avoid the best way we can, us. Because our opposition is expecting failure. Our opposition is expecting failure. And it's something that we have to get aggressive, like we said, work together and make it work, the positive change. In layman's terms, it's plus and minus pretty much, but it must in a broader amount of how would I say, more monies. Hey, college, Coach Stiggy, college excited for Bill about roughly 17 million dollars a year. And who we have watching from in our federal monies. But one thing is that, again, if we can, when you guys find out exactly how much the BIA is going to bill us in form of a check or whatever, electronic transfer. I'll get electronic transfer, go to us. Hold on.
Yeah. Okay, let me ask you a question. You brought something up. This is federal funding versus the general fund in the college. I'm just, because I know you just came from there, so did you took care of the general fund budget, or did you take care of the federal funding as well as an accountant?
I took care of both.
So did you, so both books were separated at the bank when you did your debits, credit?
We have 5 accounts. We have a federal fund account and we have an operating account. But based on the expenses of the federal money drawn on you, it hits that federal fund account first. And we never advance cash. That's one thing that I did not allow us to advance cash. It's reimbursable only by expense what we spent only. COVID. So when that money hit the federal funds, then we transport it into our operating account. And that was our checkbook code. But we've had a good audit for the last couple of years. Bill knows that, he was with us before. But there were some problems, not major problems, but there were small, minor technical problems like worksheets, timesheets for that jigger, just like the way it's happening now. So we finally corrected that over there. Cigarette tax money. When cigarette tax money first awarded to us by Mr. Graham, $1 million for the place. And they wanted to mix it into the general fund. And I says, no, wait a minute, but I know how the politicians work. I said, if I put it into general fund, then later on, if they ask us what we did with that cigarette tax money, I remember sending you guys a printout here as in Dakota to short. But that for one year, cigarette tax, so I bought at home. I provided a printout to some people over there, and I think I did somebody would go there. But anyway, I separated it out from the general fund. And then Kola, one of Cedric's persons, he confronted me in the office. So we gave you all that money, and you guys never have to call the students. How do you know you didn't have to call the students? But so I had to bring out that in short term where we help scholarships for some college students. On that. But I kept track. I do a library for each fiscal year for big grants. Well, I do a library. If audit coded, I can just go back and turn a page. And last year, we got our audit done in only 5 days. Our fiscal year was from June 1st to July 31st. And we started our audit in November, that's a good place. But in 5 days, 8 to 5, could have 2 CPs, could have to do the audit correct. We got it done in 5 days. It's a smaller arena over there, but compared to here, there's going to be a lot of work during an audit that I need to take care of. I intend to do a good job for you guys. Not that I'm bragging, but I've been in my line of work for about 35 years now. And this will be my 6th organization that I work for. But it's not because of what I did, but it was who I supported. 3 times I got fired because of politics and criminalization. So when people get fired because of politics, they kind of want to beat up somebody and take it from there. But I didn't argue. I just said, that's how you feel about me. I'll go ahead and leave. But by the grace of God, I've been called back many times. And I've proven myself. And that's what my dad told me. If you want to go to school, accounting, you're always going to have a job, and sure enough. But sometimes, like you said, things can get pretty dirty. People want favors. That's where you learn how to say no, that's when I want to get beat up. And people don't like to hear the word no. You got to abide by the rules and regulations. Like my dad said when I was working for a tribal official one time. Said one lady walked in there, I want you to write me a $25,000 check. The chairman told me to write you a $25,000 check with no documentation. You're sucking. And that person, Morgan, that's pretty bizarre thinking. Then another politician, he's got some words, he coaches me. He said, hey, these fellas, why are you telling me no? That ain't your money. Yeah, it's not my money, that's all comes. I'm saying no to protect all the others. And like I said, I'll do the best I can. I'm only one person, I only got 2 hands and 1 mind. And so if I can get some good people on my end over there, I believe I can do it. But I need some people who will be dedicated 8 to 5. Not saying I could go to the post office and not come back. I work with those as well. And it's but he won't pull God gave the key, but we won't pull it. We don't want to accept no. We all experience that as people. And as far as that, this is what I came up with the last couple of days when AJ asked me to kind of put this together. Like I said, I'm still feeling my way around. But as far as this 3.6 is what they have spent. So
in 2 months. In 2 months.
Yeah. And does not account December 1st up to today is not included on here yet. Up to now, is that so the last 6 days, but when I come in on the 19th, what I'm going to do is this will increase, but the date that I will get is from October 1st to December 18th. 19th, we'll just get out. But you guys are going to meet, turn that up. So up to the 19th, turn up for that. Now will give us a better idea of how much you guys want to look at.
December 20th is the special session calling for it or shooting for it. I might not be here at that time, so but I'll be here.
You're kind of cheap.
Yeah.
How you you could I got check the roads again. To every time Howard went to the bar, he write a $50 check. He write a $50 check. So one of his friends kind of got worried. Hey Howard, don't you think you have the money in your checkbook? Boys, one way, I still got plenty of check blanks to get. Go try, go give it up to do that. Now don't worry about the money, we still got more check blanks. This is okay. October 1st of 2011 to September 30th, 2012. There's still some postings that need to be done, but once that's all done, then I can get a true figure. Case scenario. Usually, most accountants will allow themselves about 15 days to close out the books each month because of the posting. So the automation today, most posting is done right off the bat. If I posted your traffic for today, it's going to show up that instant into the system based on the accounts. But that's where I'm at, gentlemen. I don't know how well I did, but I did my best of a day to try to start things out with you guys.
I got a question here by Legal J.
Mr. Passes, you've given us a sum total for expenditures in the first 2 months of our 3-month budget extension. I think an important piece of information for the senators is going to be with reference to the individual revenue sources in the approved budget. Certainly you're very familiar with.
Yeah.
Can you describe how much of these revenue sources have been received and to what amounts, going down each one line by line, so we have an idea of what realistic money is actually going to be coming from?
Oh, okay. I haven't gone to that point yet.
That's a very, I don't think we could have much of a discussion regarding the budget extension without knowing full well those types of figures.
See, like I said, the code servants, I need to go into I'm in there now, so I'll be able to find out. I'll have to work on that. The actual revenue that's been received for all of these for October 1st to now, I guess I'll put it that way.
Yeah, my thought is, and maybe this is oversimplifying it, but if it's any more complex, I think we need to seriously review our accounting system, is to look at first interstate bank account where our general fund is held, and simply look at the deposits.
How many accounts does the tribe have? Does anybody know?
We're under the understanding that there's one centralized account with a whole bunch of, like, what you might consider sub-accounts. There's one centralized account that all the money is deposited into, and everything else is just numbers.
Okay. But I will work on that. I might have to stay till 10 o'clock a couple times.
Well, there are some 638 contracts the federal government has negotiated to prevent commingling of funding. On paper or actual account commingling. The Office of the Inspector General has advised the tribe not to have a centralized accounting system with everything into one giant pot, and we have not heeded the advice.
Can I erase this? Can I erase this?
Again, I guess, got those numbers. So the actual would be 20,058,870. Again, what we're talking about today, what might be proposed, and then
you know, Jay, on that, I know what you're getting at. Remember the cool centralized accounting system back in the 80s? I mean, that was, I think it was Larry Whiteman and his finance people back then. It was such a big mess, I guess back in the late 70s with the federal monies. And they had to try to correct that. And that's when they used the centralized banking system, I guess, that time. And I think that kind of came about, and you can kind of, like, stuck into that. But gentlemen, a man that I would like to bring in, personally, you guys don't like Chris. I see that already. I worked with her before. But there's a gentleman that I've dealt with for quite some time, since 1980 when I first became a bookkeeper. You guys probably know him. His name is Dennis Adams. He was the revenue director for the state of Montana up under Governor Stan Stevens. And he's audited the tribe many times. He's also been an accountant, finance person for the tribe many times. But when Stevens got elected, or gave up his 4 years, whatever, and Roscoe came in, and Roscoe had his own choice He had his own choice, and he bought in somebody else. But nonetheless, this Dennis Adams, he's out of Clemens, and he is one of the best. I mean, I can say that he is one of the best accountants that I've dealt with. He's real nice. He's been honest to the guy. Honesty, what he's that guy. And he's treating a lot of people up. He goes around, he does audits for these big Indian casinos, and does also consulting work for some Indian tribes. I mean, it's just a thought. It's just what I'd like to do. Like when they put in 500 horses, okay, which one do you want to ride? You do it. Maybe I might want you to ride that black, but you like that white paint. Go out to get to that scenario that, you know, if I can be asked along to bring them people in. The year for Bill, I've been in Spokane, good top boss. Were you still there when you just walked out in the middle of the night and left us hanging in the air? And that's who I brought in, correct. Then it's Joseph E. You're the auditors for the coronation right now. Joseph E. Here we go. Yeah. But as far as an individual accountant, I mean, that's what I like to do, just to share it with you guys.
Yeah, I'm going to make a comment, and I believe, you know, when every new administration or these, you know, CEOs look at the corporate, this is a business, the Crow Tribe is a business. It's actually, we're in the $20-some million business, excluding from the federal funding. So we're actually like $100 million business, and we haven't treated it like a business, but what I'm hearing you is this is a business, and we've got to treat it like a business. And it hasn't been treated that way, and I believe we're on live stream. Anyways, if you want a positive change, you know, that's your platform, is your positive change. And when in the corporate world, when the leadership changes, they change everything. The CEO changes, and his directors, cabinet heads, they all leave. They chop, because you've got to hire somebody that's going to make you successful. That's the way it is. I know that the Kristen Johnson CPA, I don't trust her. I don't trust her like they always say. As far as I can throw her, that's why I don't trust her. Because she knows how to play the game. It's, you know, my suggestion, my personal opinion is, yeah, bring in somebody. It's going to be a breath of fresh air. Get rid of them. They can find jobs. But you know, with the new administration, you got to bring somebody else in that's going to help you be successful. And I know that Kristen, you know, she's playing the game. She knows the game. I sat with her here and bumped heads with her. There are days when, man, she can tell you everything. And there are days that she just knows how to play the game. I can't trust her myself. I don't trust her. I would rather have somebody that's going to be straightforward with you, tell it like it is. I would rather hear somebody tell me like it is, because I can live with the truth. I'm tired of living with all these lies, you know, and playing the politics. And that's what we want this to be a business, so that we can move forward for, you know, a positive change. That'd be a positive change if we bring in another CPA.
Later, I want to testing. On, go on. What is it? I mean, I like to bring in, working in there, there's about, like you said, 28 million with the federal monies to work with. And I need good help. I need some good help. And honestly, I feel like honestly what I got. You guys don't like Crispin, but from what I've gathered so far, the system that we have in place right now, I understand, I looked at it, and I'm comprehending it pretty good on where the expenses are at and blah, blah, blah. We figure out the door just like that, and me to try to regroup, it's going to be tough on me. It's gonna be tough on me. Because how do you actually work with numbers? I mean, day in and day out. Raise your hands. Raise your hands. And it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And for us to just like throw out the door, you know, and then we'd have to bring somebody to set up a new software, and that's going to set up our, it's going to be a big setback. It's going to cost us more money, and that's going to put a big dent into our general fund. I mean, that's the way I look at it. So for now, I wanna like continue with her to be, and then hopefully bring another like this Dennis Islands better, and let him be the senior CPA, and he's honest. I mean, that's what I'm trying to get at.
Kind of wean her away from the job.
Without just saying, hey, you need to leave,
Okay, we got two comments here, one from Secretary Pro, and after that, the Senator Tooligans.
Oh, Mr. Chair, I think Sheila got it, that's being wise, you have to, break it in until you're broke into the system. Once you get that system going, how difficult and how much time will it take to divide the general fund monies and the 638 federal contracts? So that way they're not in one pot, because that's what we've always been saying here, is we need to separate those funds because when they commingle, I feel like there's more room for mistakes, there's more room for error, there's more room for, God forbid, indictments.
You know, I was thinking about that. What they did, in simple terms, is they ran out of money in the general fund, okay? And I think what they started doing was to cover that overrun in the general fund, they tried to cover those expenses with the federal money. And I think that's where they went into trouble. Because they didn't watch the general fund period is to what I'm looking at. As long as we have that checkbook, we don't care whether we spend 30 million and we only have 20 million. Go down to get a look like that.
Pretty good shit out, because at that one point, Head Start buy us some shit. We know they get their money, and they have a lot of money. That's BS or ups. Well, live stream stuff kind of. They're like, what's up, sir? Go tell her, Jake, Krista, my wife, over here. She said, from her boss, she said they had a run on hiring and raises. Ich bei uns so what's up. What's up, you have pride in your work, and I'm sure Darren does too, and we want to make this happen to where, we can show the people out there at a general council, again, in the near future, all I just know, what you got to buy with cooking?
Exactly.
Oh.
I have a point to prove. I want to prove that point to the Crow people that we as a group, as a political group, we can do it. But we cannot do it by taking off to Las Vegas. And we cannot do it by not coming. We cannot do it with no cooperation or communication. That steady communication is what's going to, I think, do it. Like, I have to go in there and look at the checkbooks, and people come in there and want how much have I spent. One of those little glitches in accounting doesn't take a couple minutes. When AJ wanted the what I had to, I worked on it for the last 3 days and kind of got together for what I quit for now. It's a start anyway to try to keep you guys about 13,000 people's money being spent.
Go ahead.
Hello, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to welcome the new elected secretary and what is the CFO now? To the interim finance director. Oh, okay. I'd like to welcome you guys over. You know, it's good that you guys come over and, you know, touch base with the legislative branch and as well as the revenue committee. But I have like 3 points that I wanted to like kind of want to go over an overview with. You know, that's, you know, on my part, you know, I'm not saying I don't like Kristen. I just we don't like her tactic. You know, we don't like her tactic. We're not saying we don't like her, but you know, we just don't like the way she approves of things, because overnight, for instance, Black Lodge, we had like 16,000 left in our account, and overnight, the next day they sent out an email and we were at zero. We had no money, and we were trying to feed a mourner's feed, and we had no money, and so you know that tied our hands, and we don't know where that money went. And I'd really like it if you guys could look into that, see where our money went, because we utilized that money to outreach to our community. We had community projects. We had them paint our hall. We couldn't have a masquerade this year because we didn't have that funds available. And this is our way of outreaching to our district. And from what I know, according to this past Crow Fair was budgeted in 2012. The money was already set aside, but then the previous chairman took, I believe, was about 16,000 from each district, and those were AML funds that came in, and he took 16,000 from each district to cover Crow Fair, and Crow Fair was already budgeted. And you know, from this end, you know, you know, the other senators would probably like that money to come back to the districts. And if you can look in to see where that money went, you know, because Crow Fair was already budgeted, but yet they took money from us, from all our districts, to cover Crow Fair. And if we would like that restoration back to our districts with those funds, because that's how we feed when someone passes away, or that's when we have community projects. We usually have a spring cleaning, and last year we bought T-shirts for our district and we paraded with them. Those were ways that we outreach to the community in our districts, and we couldn't do that this year because those funds were pulled from us. And so if you can look into that and see where those went. And then on the other note, the other point I want to go over is that during that flood, we qualified for FEMA funds, and we received some monies that time. And we went in there to go get a printout. They gave us a printout of how much we were supposed to get through FEMA funds, and we used our original, kind of like our own Black Lodge general fund, to clean up our hall, to paint it. And we bought a washer sprayer. We bought paint, made our hall back to what it is now. And you know, it needs a lot of work. And our FEMA funds, we don't know where that went, and that money's there. And yeah, it's about 16,000, and we would like to have that back to, you know, fix our bathrooms, the plumbing. You know, our propane tank was shifted when that water was flooded that area, and see those kind of things that were taken from the districts. If you guys can look into that and see, you know, where they went, and you know, I'm pretty sure that the rest of the senators would greatly appreciate, you know, even though that money is not there, you know, talk with the executive branch and see what you can do to try to restore that, because you know, there's the entire tribe, but then yet, you know, us as senators, we have people to answer to that are in these distinct districts.
Oh, one thing I also want to tell you guys, this next audit, it's kind of way ahead of my thoughts, but the next audit, from October 1st to September, there may be some disallowed costs within the federal monies, okay? And I don't know how much that may be, but it's going to happen, especially with that COPS grant, okay? So that's another money that's going to be taken out of our general fund. So within the budget, what we used to do is put in a line item called bad debt expense. I think I saw that And what that money does is just in case money, you guys. So you guys may need to appropriate a bad debt expense just in case the money that we have to pay back the Crow tribe, it can be taken out of that line item, bad debt expense. Something just to kind of start thinking about just in case for the audit. I mean, I'll do the best I can for you guys, and I'll give it my 100%. And I'll try to keep you guys happy best way I can. And I'll try to address a lot of things. Again, I'm only one person with two hands, and I can only run so many feet every day. But I will try to. But my office is always welcome. You guys can come over. You know, my office is on the far end of the hallway on the right side. You guys want to sit with me and look at the jail money. The jail money and so like Doogie, he want to come over and okay, visualize tonight. Then I could explain to you what's being posted to and what's being spent. I'll keep that open dialogue. I'm not gonna try to keep things from you guys. If I see something that I don't like, I will send out emails to protect myself too as well. Because that's what I'm trying to avoid. Again, I say it's going to take me maybe 6-7 months to actually kind of clean everything up. But I have to start whipping my horses to do that. So if somebody's not performing, I'm not a mean person. I'll say, I need your help. Can you come to work and do your job? And then they want to start fighting around, and I'll just give them a second chance, and that's it. I'll give them at least one chance. People will be under me.
The committee Dodger is loving person. It's not Mr. Speaker. Has a question.
It's not a question, but just another comment. For the past 3 years, the legislative branch has been the scapegoat, and that's kind of why I made the point that we don't trust the CPA, because when they used up the money for the tribal youth, they turned around and said the legislature won't give us the money, but we had already approved it in the budget. We were the scapegoat then. Then they reduced the 107 monies for the 107 committee from 300 to 200. They turned around and said we're the ones that reduced their money. And once again, we were the scapegoat there. And that's what, as a CPA, they have a code of ethics that they have to follow. But once they start going in that route, they've broken the code of ethics that they're sworn to uphold as becoming a CPA. And that's why there's no trust from this branch to that CPA. And all we're trying to do is look out for the people's money, like what you said earlier. It's the people's money. And that's what we're wanting to know, is what happened to the people's money.
Yeah, once that October 1st, it's going to take a while for each elected administration on down the line how to make a library in sense from each account. And each account may produce anywhere from 10 pages to 100 pages maybe, depending on how much was budgeted. So we're looking at quite a bit to see an actual picture of how much was spent October 1st to September 30th of 2012. And by golly, I hope it's not in the red. it's something that. So if it's in the red, we're going to have to knock down another $4 million if that's the case, and we only have to work with maybe, $14 million up to December 31st, if that's going to be the case. But at this point, that remains to be seen.
I also want to make a, down the road, one of the campaign promises from the Chairman Oakile was for the separation of the powers. That each branch will do their own checks, do their own books, and we don't know when, but hey, gonna say that,
Mm.
that 6 to 7 months, we don't know, but, we like to probably amend that, FMA, Fiscal Management Act, big, for the true separation of powers, where each branch takes care of their own budget. And hopefully, being very hopeful that should take place. So that'll alleviate some of your workload. And
You guys can have your own audits.
usually, Bonnie without being here quite a few years, and that was one of the, the things that dialogues that we talked with the CPAs is that, we can do our own books or whatever, but, it's going to be one audit, one auditor.
Oh, okay. You want to go with one auditor, not three separate auditors?
See, that's something that we have to sit down and talk with, going with one auditor. I mean, it's really a beautiful look at it. There's really nothing wrong with that. We can look at it. But the thing is that you've already come up with a problem. There was a problem with going with the 2 weeks for the executive branch, but we've already been through the 1 week because because of the meetings. When the meetings really pick up, and some of the reasons the meetings haven't been picking up is because we've been battling each other. But I remember there was that time when the Van administration, when we were busy constantly all the time. So we put in a lot, like $150 a week, for me to put in gas from prior to here. That's how much I had to have, $300 just for 2 weeks. So based on that, that's when the prices of gas went up as well too. And that's when we started having weekly checks that they give. Because when the problem that you run into those 2-week bi-weekly checks was everybody was asking, they would run out of money regardless. Budget yourself. They'll run out of money and they'll ask for early payroll. If they ask for early payroll, they'll go to the speaker at the house, and who is the speaker at the house? They'll bug you. And that was one way of resolving the weekly checks. Even with the weekly checks, they still were asking for early release for unforeseen circumstances.
We're trying to, it's not going to be discontinued, but we can try to not do that the best way we can. Cook Cindy's wanting, Cook, if they want to keep it weekly on this end, it's okay, but we can manage that. But now, on our side, we really want to go back to 2 weeks. Cook, it's no big problem, but it's just stop that, that we can go 2 weeks with you guys as well, but, in my opinion, but if you guys want to stay with the 1 week, then that's fine with me too. Because that's your guys' budget, and I'm not trying to dictate, but it's just a thought for accounting purposes to try to balance out the books as soon as we possibly can for the salaries for everybody. And that's just not these guys, but all different programs, the salaries, we have to balance those out. And see, the thing is, too, is let's say, like yesterday's payroll, let's say it comes out to, let's say 500,000 collection. Okay. If that 500,000 was paid out yesterday, the taxes are due to the IRS by today. The next day they are due. So if you multiply 500,000 by, let's say, calculate hours, 1.45 and 6.20, add those two together. Okay. Add some, just figure the gross to that. Scenario, 500,000. So multiply that by 7.45. What is that amount? $372,000. So that's $372,000 in addition to the
500,000.
To the 500,000.
500,000, that's it.
Yeah, and we had to pay that 300,000 by today. And Cindy has not missed a payment. Although she's struggling, she has not missed a payment. And I think what happened at the casino was that somebody didn't know how to handle that, and they just kept letting it fall behind with interest and penalties. Came up to sell. Last week I heard it was $1 million. I mean, I don't know. But it was in the paper. You guys remember that big casino when it's got
Yeah, that was.
yeah, so now, so that's why I want to try to leave an hour to go back to 2 weeks.
Because, what's happening with the casino right now, any of the expenditures for that, is that separate right
It's separate, right? It's a baby guy, you bought the casino. You don't know yet, huh? Like, college could die. 8 bills could do it. One of the practices that we did was, we electronically transferred our tax money. We have 2 accounts by the sheriff. We need that one money, and once that was due, we just automatically transferred to that. And it goes out to IRS electronically. We don't have to write checks. They call it that. But I'm not sure, I mean, I think, if I heard it right, that it's the same thing over here. But today, where the $500,000 is that $300,000, so if you look at it, let's say they were all general fund people, that'd be $800,000 that's been taken out of our general fund account right off the bat, at the end of today at 5 o'clock. So like I said, money moves. And it's quite a chore. Like what I say is, let's say you own 10,000 acres. You have 10,000 acres, you got 5,000 cows. And 100 head are over at Sarby, and 200 head over at the Pine Hills, 300 over at Garyland, and there's 400 in Lost Grass. We went to Lost Grass yesterday to check out the 400, they were there. You go back today and it's 400 or someplace else, and maybe they're over at Sarby. That's how this money works. Just moves and moves and moves. This money matter. And that's why Wall Street has a tough time, I think. But you guys, so I will do a good job for you guys. But I will try to benefit you guys the best way I can.
Question from Secretarial Crow.
Okay, we got Accounting 101 done. Now let's get to business. We need to find out what the proposal is for this new budget, that one that was submitted yesterday. We need to find out here. That's one of the reasons for the meeting, is because we need to find out what we're going to approve come December 20th. We need, I know you're working on the process, but do you have kind of an idea of what you're going to be proposing? Because all we got right now is a cover sheet. We don't have the attachments yet.
Each week they do.
Again, I will have to work on that. Remember, this is only my 3rd day on the job. And there's people out there that are bugging me, too, that want. I've been going over some tribal budgets with some of the program directors that want to know how much they spend, how much they got up to code. So that's another thing I'll need to work on.
I guess the next thing, Marlon, I appreciate you coming over, taking the time with AJ. I guess we want to see the numbers, but when would be the next time? When would numbers do you project that for the next committee meeting?
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Marlon, the reason it's so important, is because come December 31st, January 1st, we will have no money to expend. This budget is only to the end of this month.
Oh, okay.
That's why we have a continuing resolution from 2012, what's it about, to the end of the year. And we still have to approve the 2013 budget, which would begin January 1st. And that's what we're talking about right now.
This is what you're working with right now, I think.
At the budget.
Yeah, this is what you got left. This is what you're approved. Again, this is what's left of your 3 months budget. But we're going to talk about the 9 months. So that's what we want to see.
That's why I said, I think, you weren't given that sheet, because this, the one we actually passed, the one that's actually law right now, is the one I laid on your desk, is not the one that they gave you, the CPAs. It's that one there. Look at it. Those are the numbers, you all. And then, because this is important, that's why I thought this meeting, what this meeting was about today.
See, look, again, nice, we're already thinking 3 months, gonna cut back down. We know that. We know exactly, we're working with 3 months. We know that the legislature, we have about 113,000 at the end of December. Well, as of today, we got about 113,000 to the good that asked of our 3 month continuing resolution. And now almost 6 million. So now we want to get to the rest of the budget. And numbers for that, when would you have those numbers for the next revenue committee? And because right now, we all know we're up to speed. We're trying to get you up to speed. As you said, it's 3 days. And December 31st is going to come real fast. That's going to be 6 votes. So yeah. Go ahead, Senator Covers up.
Jag är chairman av projektet i det går easily that can. Jag är hela tiden severance tax för att det gick det den projektet som kvar till det jag är vad det då så där på det projektet där vi there's some questionable things that's going to be added on again. Kale för att det Cloud Peak, taka iwasira that for that is green money that they're wishing to get, but they push the deal, so they're going to renegotiate it, but I just said it, and they're projected maybe you're looking at maybe 19, 18 million. Yeah, but you have to face the reality, and they're projected for years, you have to bring the true facts on the road to have yesterday. So that is, and then you all need to get a court, a lot of Europe, a simple day yesterday. Down the road, government put this so many amounts of dollars put together today, that's simple enough. And for that yesterday, who called them like well, that's why I put together. We got the open door policy. You did a big back door wall. She can't get moving shit. Yeah, but I did it. And that's what is the flag going to go again? And he can do it. And he first will do much. And yeah, but it's in officials, they just asked you that. They hit to take that. You have to get the reality. Hey, CPA there, true numbers for this insight. What they allow her to say in the outside world, coaching to that. And what I do yesterday is after you get the real numbers of what's there now, what I did yesterday. Important that I yesterday and was yesterday. That way go to mouth, what I did, and auditor, but I'm position for them, be away, yesterday had yeah, and the inspection service both that and that it did say that she had to go much in inspection service. I gave go there for this time much. Everybody to be in compliance. You want to make them compliance of how they work for the tribe. the positive change that if it should have deal out money. For that you get for you have.
Oh. Okay, the floor recognizes Senator Love. Chairman. Elected Secretary AJ. Marlon.
Revenue, when it comes in, like 3 years ago, when I got in, question about it, like land revenue is it, one lump sum, let's say, the way we were told quarterly, like this quarter, we'll get this money, we'll utilize this money, I've done, next quarter, this one's coming in, like, Shisha Haji, all the way through the year, and some of them, they don't even get it until end of the year. And that's the way it was, I guess in case they kind of so you could actually on that part. I mean, then line items that they're like false statements rather than the line items they bring in. Like 2 years over there, enrichment committee, 514,000 good. That's what they're budgeted for. End of the year, they only spent 274,000. And when they turned around next year, when they got the final audit report, the bullish 514,000. It was how real. I mean, they said they spent it. As I was said, they kind of hush the but it covered under that. And dummy items, big line items that they're just like dummies. It's not illegal, but it's still accounted for that line item, but it wasn't utilized for that line item. I always had a question about it. I never really got an answer on those situations. And well, budget delay do like housing's our maintenance usually touch on the line items. So that we look at Saji now. This is how much you have to spend. That's all you have. If you could have the same thing and go, that's the kind of mindset I had when I came over here. Executive budget could have just straight on. It was really all in a bag, well, just kind of make up as they go, but they just use that money. So,
with my experience, revenue versus expensive. Like, I'm going to use two big grants that we had at the college. For example, TCU money, it's federal money. Hey, Remy, it was a $5 million grant that I had to handle. And upon request, okay? So let's say for the first month, TCU, like October 1st, let's say I spent 50,000, okay? For the first month of October. So I'll tell the TCU monies, okay, I spent $50,000 on this grant. I've never advanced. Cost reimbursement, here you go, that's that. But expect an advance of a nil after. Then they go and spend all that cash and they didn't use it, and then they have to turn that money back in, and there's no more money in the general fund like it happened. It hurts the tribe. You could ask. So now 50,000 collision. For that revenue account, for each account under the college, each one had its own revenue. So now 50,000 collision request cut bulk. I post 50,000. Next month I spend maybe 10,000. I request that it adds up both sides for that. When I revenue will go, it was a $5 million grant. Federal money cost reimbursement back. The net budget not $5 million it's divided up into 5 years 5-year grant. So each year I had to keep track, even though it's a five-year grant, I had to separate it out from 7/1 to June 30th. That was our fiscal year at the college. It could go in, at the end of the year, net revenue go down. If I spent, let's say, the first year I spent $1 million, my revenue should equal that $1 million that I spent. Nothing less and nothing over. Kung go report got back to the auditors. You could actually get that in simple terms. So I will, it's gonna take time, but I need to figure that revenue, how much has been put into the coffers. And so in a sense, without the approved budget, the BIA has not given you anything at all for October 1st. No cash, and, or they use your continuing, December 31st, they give you cash for that negwa. And that was how much that? 3,056 of that job.
Well, ours is 300,000, 367.
In the actual general, the severance tax money that the BIE should have given the Crow tribe based on your guys' budget for up to December 31st. I need to find out too how much they actually gave us for that. Go. The now severance tax go to before I knew it was ordered to us on a quarterly basis. And it was given to us at the end of each quarter. From severance tax money.
Can you feel that comment? What Bureau Balali going to get? Yes, they approved this continuing resolution today. It's at 9,591,000. I go for you guys.
That's for the executive, correct?
Yeah. But that's the total.
Okay.
That's the whole total.
So in sense, you budget dollars down for October. What did you guys operate on?
300,000.
Okay.
87.5.
Okay. So basically, the cash, I'll put it that way. This 387,000 should have been put into your revenue. That's revenue. Simple as that. For the time being. Okay. But the actual cash, then not just talking about the 107 money from the Bureau of Indian Affairs. I don't know why they were separating out the revenue for each account at this point. Since the general fund has 56 accounts, general fund has 56 accounts. And let's say they gave us 20 million, then if they have one revenue account for the general fund, as far as the proceeds from the severance tax, which I imagine is what it is. And then I don't think it's separated into each line item. That's what I'm thinking, which is so there might be just one revenue account for elected administration, and then there's probably another revenue account that creates like with projections by the just in case they come in, because we do that at the college. We might have anywhere from 1 to 3 revenue accounts for one fund. In your what? There might be like donations or matching monies that may come in, then we separate those out with the actual federal amount and the donations. So it's really where we may have 2 or 3 revenue accounts for one account. And then it adds itself up in the system. revenue out minus the expenses kung kayutis sa waibugo. So 9,591,735. Do I have that on here? $9,900 sana ko 50.
You have that printout, that's good.
Yeah. 75. And yeah, you guys are, we have to send it to the first step. Okay. So I got a lot of homework to do. Once I get back. A lot of homework to do.
Thank you, Chair. Actually, the 20th, because the special session is the 20th.
Okay.
So we have to get the budget passed before the 31st, and the 15th day is the 20th, so you have until the 20th, and that's why we need to have these meetings for the next 2 weeks or so. So everybody's brought up to speed. Once it comes to committee, and then the committee says it's ready for the floor, hopefully it's ready for the floor by the 20th, so that we can approve it that day. But it's going to take several committee meetings to go through the budget and then approve it. Because this is the problem that Cedric did, was they would bring something over and here, pass this. So we're supposed to get it and not look at it and pass it. And that's not our job. Our job is to get it and look through it, ask questions on it, because the people have questions on it. And then once everybody's comfortable with it, that it's something, a finished product, then we go into session, and then it hits the floor, and then it's voted and passed then, and that's the 20th. So the actual deadline we're looking at is the 20th, but it's going to take several meetings just to pass this one from between now and then to get the budget through. So that's why the chairman of the committee was asking, you know, when is our next meeting? Because then we'll schedule that meeting here in our office, let all the senators know to be here that day, who wants to be here. Like we have 10 senators here today, which is a good turnout for a committee meeting.
Yeah, next week. Next week would be a good time. 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th. And
Anytime Bishkek says.
yeah, so that's what. So let us know right away. And we can be here. And go ahead, Adrian. I guess that'll be something.
Well, yeah, 6,000 of them, they're gonna reimburse or recoup, I guess. Is Baja committee with 107 and prior to Richmond at that time, $200 stop quote instead of 3 for the committee at ADA. And I guess after December 3rd, one could bill Baja to put it in the budget if it wasn't paid. The last one with a huge just so we can, it was going to get paid. So.
Some of you worked out, supposedly.
196,000, 200.
Yeah. And where are they supposed to get that money from to do that?
I mean, can I answer that for you? Okay. Bryce, we had approved that in the budget. So it was approved and it was supposed to have been paid out. But then the Black Eagle administration refused to follow the budget we approved and said they would use it however he wanted to use it, however he wanted to use. So I think that's something that they're going to have to go through themselves to see what actually needs to be done now. Because we had approved it here and they accepted it, and then he signed the budget under protest. But in any sense, he still signed it, so the money should have gone to the 107. Their back pay should have gone, but he didn't get it. So I think those people need to still ask him, what did you do with our money? Because right now we're coming in with a new administration, And they're trying to see what happened to the money as well. Everybody has the same question. What happened to that money? And I think that's why, Mr. Passes, that's our question is, we don't trust the CPA because she should have let you know about that too. You know, we have a lot of questions. We're ready to work on a budget. And right now, you're the boss, not the CPA. And my recommendation to you today is go back over there and tell her, you should have given me all these numbers to take over there. You sent me over there with nothing to present to the Revenue Committee today. And they're asking for these numbers so they can start looking at what needs to be approved. You know, because she gave you her idea of what the budget should be. She didn't give you what the budget we had actually approved and what should have been on the table today. And that's why we don't trust her. You know, we don't trust her at all because there's some cover-ups there and we know it. And it's our money and we're putting it in her hands. And she's not telling us what's going on with our money. So just like his question, you know, what happened to that money? Because we approved it. But Cedric said it. It was in the what was it, on Facebook or what was it on the news, CJ? When he said that he will do with it whatever he pleases to do because they serve him at his leisure. And I think it was on the news. So I answered Bryce's questions for you anyway.
Yeah, okay, that's where we got it up. You asked the question and 200,000, did I ask that? And Jay, you can probably recall, 200,000 is what 200K to the 107 elders to that. Where did we get that money in the budget for that? We got it from, I believe it was Aiken and Gum, right? That 2.3 million. I believe that's what we dipped into it because we did. I believe Bill coded for this. Aiken and Gum, 2.3 million. We couldn't go anyplace else because of all the because of the way it was proposed in that. But Aiken and Gum, to our understanding, Aiken and Gum water right deal settlement Garesh 460 million Garesh Gunagimshli Karagit in Azalashkishta. And Mr. Jayoko go Sakat Baum correct 2.3 million Garagimshli, about 2.1 million. Yeah, but the 200,000 Garamna from what were the dates now? 2011 was it May to June was it June 2012 to September 30th? No one, as soon as we passed that budget, they started getting $100 for them Kushkil 2. We passed the budget for them to get their $300 a week, $300 a week, and cut down Garak $100 for them to chicken Ishmael Chigarum. Deal with Tawag Bugmak. 200K get them from Aiken and Gum 2.1 million. Go wish the duck book. From that Aiken and Gum I usually got. That's where that money was coming from. And the cut book was then under protest. Nobody spoke about usually why I was studying. So it was about $6,000 a piece. $6,000 a piece that could chill much in their back pay to the elders. And the cut book, and we put it in the newspaper, a big old page for that continuing resolution. And the cut book was line by line item, what we passed was all in the Bighorn County News. But I gave me a dollars. It Balish the bill showed down on the cut book of the age last week it is down now. Bighorn County News. Right out with the deal all of it. The chairman with it up for Washington. So anyways, and now this 200K is from this 9 million. It's part of that 9 million that we passed. Aiken Gum contract. We asked for the contract and we don't know. Yeah.
Yes.
you, that's just getting you up to speed. And that's answering, I believe, I guess his question is, are you gonna still pay it? But I don't think you guys got around to that at all.
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead,
Thank you,
Legal J.
Mr. Chair. I'm just going to note that the special legislative authorization, which is Section 6 of CLB 1203, that authorizes the expenditure of $200,000 for 107 back pay. I think it's key to understand that that's an authorization to spend. It doesn't legally require you to do anything. It's just an authorization to spend. Executive has the green light to spend $200,000 from the 107th interest. It's distributed to the Crow tribe. This is pursuant to federal law. You submit plans and budgets to the Secretary of the Interior. He approves. It's the Crow people's money. If the tribal government wants it, they have to do a plan and budget for a drawdown. That's how it works. That's why it's a segregated portion of our budget. And it's subsidized by our general operating fund, our general fund sources, everything else essentially. So that's where that $200,000 was intended to come from in terms of outside source funding, or funding coming to the tribe. And the chair is correct in identifying it was referred to as energy special counsel. They didn't want to reference Aiken Gump specifically in the proposed budget, but we found out later that it was, in fact, Aiken Gump. That expenditure authorization amount was substantially reduced, and it was there was line items that were increased, and this was one of those actually not just increased that was created.
This is the 67 and over thing, right? Oh, that.
107.
No, you're talking about the monthly senior pension. That's the 67 and older.
107.
This is the 107th Advisory Committee and Elders.
Yeah, 107 advisory.
How many?
I think there's about 30.
50 over here, I think it was, and
Or is there
30 in prior.
Okay.
This line item, this line item.
It's in Budget Code Category 150A, which is the first, it's an administrative support department of the 107th Judgment Fund portion of our budget. Budget Code Category 158, there's a special line item that was created for
salaries, 158 administrative support and 150C constitutional reform legislative.
Yeah, if you go to 158 and if you look at the last line items, it's line item number 69020, 107th Advisory Committee back pay. It's a supplemental to the 107th Advisory Committee standard line item. Yeah. I don't know, you're looking at the proper document. What you're looking at is not law, it's not anything that should be referencing with respect to take a look at CLB 1203, and it's the attachment to CLB 1203, which is the fiscal year 2012 extension. That's this is the 3-month continuing resolution. Okay. Yeah, if you take a look at if you got it, so the highlighted column, that is what was authorized for the 3-month period that we're currently in. If you look at Budget Code Category 150A, the last line item in that budget department is 107th Committee back pay. There's 2 107th Committee back pay line items. They have the same budget code category, but you see there's separate expenditure amounts for each one. Yeah, that's the $200,000 that, see, the principal source of income to the tribe that would be used to pay that is the 107th interest that's distributed to the tribe quarterly. And the tribe, under federal law, needs a budget in order to draw that money down. Otherwise, it's just going to roll back in the principal and keep growing. That's probably what it should be doing, but we're a paycheck to paycheck tribe, so we draw it out as soon as it's ready, every time. Until such time as we're in a wealthy and privileged enough position where we can just reinvest it and keep growing more interest. With that $200,000 under the fiscal management act, it's up to the chairman as to whether or not he wants to. In fact, there's nothing that says that he has to pay it all back in one lump sum. It can be gradually paid over the course of time. I think the key would be to put it into the 9-month remainder,
Remember that
which would
you
be
could turn that
our
off from there?
fiscal year 13 budget, beginning
Remember that
January 1st.
YouTube, but also
Language in there,
Bible or something? Yeah.
It
I got
could be phased in
$50
over time. It's
Did you know
$200,000
that?
to bite and chew it all when, dispersed to the elders, so.
Sure. Go ahead.
Mr. Secretary and Mr. Passes, maybe we could offer that if you need to, you could come over and work with our finance director, Bill, because he's going to have all the proceedings and the process on the budget. Because right now it looks like you're not getting what this direction you need from the CPA over there. So if you're willing, if you want to, you can come over and work with Bill over here to see what needs to be done for the budget. I think that's, that was recommended by our Sergeant at Arms that we should offer him to help you guys, because this is your first actual meeting, and then the process, to learn the process.
Thank you, Speaker. Body. Today was actually a day for our interim cabinet to understand not only the procedure and working with the legislative branch, but it's an education process for our appointee here. And I failed to mention from the get-go, even though we're in a professional atmosphere here, I felt that bringing him here today would allow him to reconsider his priorities. And I can only coach so far. I can only give so much information to an individual within these 3 days. So again, if you can work with him, we appreciate it. I'm sure that he's open for suggestions and so forth. At the same time, it's a learning process for him, not making excuses, but work needs to get done. That's why he's here. And if we waited another week, we would still be having the same discussion today with a week loss. So that's why we're here today. And Mr. Passes, now I think you understand where you stand with your homework. And I appreciate you stepping up to the plate. So next go around, you'll have the answers. You'll know what needs to be done. And if we are done with that, with this current issue, I'd like to move on to the handout that I just passed out.
Just go on ahead. The meeting that we had with Darren and AJ and Sean, the last meeting, did I be up to speed about it? Darren, and AJ, and Sean, I believe at that time, no projected revenue was what I believe we were talking about.
Correct.
No projected revenue.
Correct.
Actual, but they wanted the actual. We'll take care of the projected down the road. They thought we need to expedite approving the budget for the next 9 months. And there was no projection really was on these what Darren. No projection, no projected or protected. Projected revenue. Let's work with the actuals that are coming in. Cash, okay? And Kariuk, and the next one is, have, committee meeting, revenue committee. Revenue committee meeting, today, revenue committee meeting, until we have a recommendation from revenue committee for approval of the Without this revenue committee meeting that Tuesday, the mentality of Cedric was constitution and leadership, approve or disapprove. Hey, the budget, that constitution says, the executive branch will prepare a budget for the 3 branches. Kanila, Aiken, Tuesday, Igasang, and I for why that not we got here. Yeah, in many ways, a recommendation, he got up, just about their recommendation to that book could do. Allah for all you that we have a recommendation for the body for its approval, not to give it to study. So go ahead, sorry to interrupt, AJ.
Also, back to the budget itself, we also need to understand as executive that, not talking to the legislators, but within the executive, to note the date on the 20th is also cutting it due to the fact that without an approved budget submitted to the Bureau with legislative approval, that also takes a process. So keep in mind that even if we pass one on the 30th, you know, just hypothetically, those monies still may not be available to the following week or the second week after. So again, just keep in mind. So that should be on your shoulders there. And any other questions we're willing to answer at this time. If not, I'd like to move on to the next piece of information that I brought.
We can talk about it, about the other, the 120 carryover, we can talk about that at the other time. But go ahead.
Okay. I did note the carryovers, and I did note the reimbursement, and I guess when we get back, I'll fill you in on how that amount was established, and then where the tribe, decreased that amount. That's when they went to 32 hours or something like that, and at the same time, the 107th was decreased. So that, based on that, this law already governed that amount, and then the executive, through the legislative process, never amended or worked on that dollar amount. They just went ahead and cut that amount. So that's kind of a little verbal history on there, but as you see the documents, then you'll be informed formally on how that come to play. The sheet here was given to myself and the other 3 elected officials, the other 2 elected officials, Chairman Okayo and Vice Secretary Backbone. And what we have here is a list of 638 contracts with the Bureau of Indian Affairs, and the only one that is excluded in there from Bureau of Indian Affairs is the appraisal system, and I believe that was with OST. I would like to get my facts straight here, but through Channel 3 of the Bureau of Indian Affairs. First line item, which is the court system. The director of that federal program is Berthina Nomi. As you can see, the FY12 budget, and then the next is the home improvement program, which is directed by Larry Martin. That also has the FY12 budget. The third, jobs placement and training, which is directed by Nuno Crow Jr. And these are mature contracts to keep in mind. Rachel Oldhorn with the Bureau of Indian Affairs, who is the Indian Self-Determination Specialist, referenced that this mature program, these mature grants were in good standings clear up till today. So that was a plus for the tribe as a whole. The next line item is the scholarship program, which is directed by Fatima Badhorse and Johnson O'Malley, directed by Jennifer Flatlip. Tribal Government Services, that was directed by Sean Wilbert. Appraisals, that was directed by Samson Gordon Brown. Indian Child Welfare Act, that's directed by Rebecca Buffalo. Crowfish and Game, Larry Tobacco. Forest Development, previously was Calvin Herrera, who then was unemployed. Loose Livestock Removal Project, Larry Tobacco. Meth Program, April Tornita. The last two line items, as you can see, the little dashes next to Debbie Scott and Michelle Shield, those programs are not annual grants. Those were just year-end monies from the BIA given to the tribe with, those titles, Loose Livestock Removal Project and Meth Program. So currently there is no funding this fiscal year for those programs. That was kind of a one-time thing. That was extra, our carryover monies that the Bureau decided to give the tribe, and those were the program stipulated to utilize those funds. So just something to share about, some records that you may have never seen before, which have always existed. And as we receive them, we have no problem passing them on. Again, I believe it's information that is available to all tribal members that are governed by the Crow tribe.
What's the following page? Just the signature of
The following page at the top just talks about how using, like, say, for instance, the continuing resolution at the far right as a percentage of the monies, and every year some of the monies are increased, some of the monies are decreased. In this case, obviously we're having an increase. So, we could have Miss Rachel Oldhorn, as soon as we work with our contracts and grants people, we can, whether you do or we do, we can summon her to maybe elaborate a little more on these grants and 638s.
On the 638, excuse me, have it been executive in the BIA, or these guys have to approve 638?
That's
one, a long version, short version.
Currently, that's one of the issues in our tribal court.
This is the allowed in 2004, it is. But this was the authority, 2005. Authority, get it law. The 04-05 was really thought we get it. The 04-05, the cut book in the box was scheduled and gave it to the chairman for all approval of 638 contract. The Hawaii model, what is she? Call it that. Anyways, about Toreo from 10-02, 10% signatures from the respective districts. Look at the 10-02, EV's in, 04-05. Nabat pushed it, too. Name. Cedric. Hey, temporary restraining order, get him, get it. Hey, it's going to be detrimental to the whole tribe. It's an irreparable harm. That would be our over in the court issue.
What if the stipulation for 0405 was not provided there was going to be quarterly reports here. Quarterly reports got there. And then all that is how we
On compliance.
reports got there. reports, vete, nigga Mojave, boom. Well, I got to see. Then that's why we did that 1002, saying we rescinded it legally. And then he took us to court with that, and that's why we're still in court right now.
So the quarter report is just for the 638 only, what else for that?
No, look everything, but you know, look everything, look the donation. Quarter reports, big page, it's not a comprehensive report, but they're giving us a little one-page thing, we're doing this in our department. But these 638s and federal grants, look up. Think about it. Let's put you in our seat right now. You're a senator. One of your constituents comes around, hey Giga, hey, you're gonna live there, sábelo. You put it off to the guy. As a governing body here, we do not even know what's going on out there. And we should understand what the process and what's going on out there. We're part of the government. And no outside of it, I'm a pursuit, which is a good information, good. And if I let the cook, it's just like, there's that lack of communication. That communication was severed. And all we wanted was back. And then now, since you were non-compliant, now you have to come here for approval for 638 contracts and grants. And what's up, a little bit, and when we wrote that, the existing 638 and contracts and grants, they're already approved. A little bit, we're grandfathered them in. But he turned around and said that those will all get quashed. And you are cooked, I don't know you do that thing. Anyway, that's just part of the history of it. But anyway, it's a key.
Part of the status quo, that's where we're in. Any more questions? If not, I hope, then we can let us know right away when we can number stay, balls all right. Whatever you call it, we can have a meeting right away.
Hey, Bill's off by the way, so.
Email.
Yeah.
Email is so open.
Email, just
Yeah.
Again, I'd like to just note that Senator Two Liggins and Senator Huggs' request of reimbursement will be noted as to where we're at, and it will appear in the remainder of the budget for those reimbursements. Also, I did take note of that carryover at the last meeting. I believe that was.
District funds that they gave last time, and Kristen knows what we talked about, knows what we are talking about. She'll give us a spreadsheet of all the expenditures thus far on our district funds. I think we'll make that.
Okay, so you took note of that, right?
Spreadsheet of district fund.
Yeah.
Expenses and I guess balance.
Yeah. Go ahead, Noel. Noel, I have a question.
Oh, Chairman, members of the executive branch. Well, it seems like we're getting towards like the closing of the meeting, but you know, this is just off the subject, but you guys probably talked about it, but you know, it's a positive change and a new administration has come in, and you know, you're the secretary, and you know, there's going to be a lot of responsibility in that area, and one thing I'd like to see to come back to the tribe on that end is after the reformation of our government, after the government changed and we got the new constitution, and when the Bill Barrett deal came to the tribe, and any other decision pertaining to the executive branch, you know, one officer didn't speak on behalf of the whole tribe or the executive branch. You four are the executive branch. And during that time, Clifford Burning Ground, J.R. Goes Ahead, Larney DeLao, and my dad. If one of them didn't agree, it didn't ride, it didn't flow. If one didn't agree, it didn't pass. They decided together and they approved things together and they signed off on everything together. It just wasn't one officer. all four of them were the executing officers of the executive branch. And that was the first time that's ever happened in our Crow Tribal government history. And I don't know if you guys talked about it or maybe if you mentioned it, but I'd really like that to see that to come back. Give authority to all four because all four are the executive branch. And, you talk to those four, any of those four that first started that, they'll tell you the same story. And that's where change happened. And I'd like to see that come back to the executive branch.
Thank you, Senator. We all have that same consensus right now. We even went as far as maybe developing a policy to put in black and white. But yet, right now with the circumstances of this transition, we have been even working on our emails. But as far as consensus, it's all been verbal. Some of the people, the folks we are employing, we've all come to the table and said yes. So that that being said, we're off to the right start, and eventually we will probably develop that policy. Right now, I think we're working on a trust, trust agreements, verbal handshakes, so forth. I know that's bad business, but at this point in time, with me working the elections, I do get pretty involved in those avenues while I trust in them to make various selections in these key positions. And then by the end of the day, in the past 3 days, I would hear what their plans were. So I'm never really kept out of the loop. I usually, get some feedback. And I do so far trust them. I haven't had any inclination or assumption of not wanting to agree with their choices. So we all agreed in the best interest of the tribe, in the best interest of the people. But again, back to the issue at hand here with finances, it is a road that Mr. Pass is accepted to take. So whether it's criticism, whether it's information, I think he can take it all. And then also take it back to his cave over there and make something into it. So.
Just make sure the criticism is constructive.
Right, yeah. Constructive criticism.
All right, I'm worth $60 an hour.
I just want to make note that, right now we're witnessing, a positive approach to what we never had before, and that was cooperation. And so right now, as far as the criticism is concerned, I believe that, we've got individuals here that are willing to hit the ground running. I know we're chomping at the bit. And, I just wanted to state to the committee and to the body here that I think we should give, a great appreciation in just the past few minutes or hours that we've been here. I think we got more in these few hours than we've ever gotten in the last 4 years. And so, with that being said, and this only being our first meeting, I think we should look forward to more meetings to come. And with Mr. Pass's approach and eagerness to cooperation, and stating several times that he wants to work to the benefit of the people as well as the legislative branch and under the executive branch that he works for, that he wants to work closely with us, working with Bill. So in that way, I heard him state every month he wanted to make some kind of an update, and that's something that he has presented to us. That's nothing that we're sitting here requiring of anybody. And so you know, with that being said, I think that we're really moving forward and you know, although maybe there wasn't actuals that came over or maybe we don't have nothing ready to roll, but either way, it's been an education process for both of us. You know, we're looking at this together and on the same page. We've never seen some of these things, and so we're all looking at it together at the same pace. So, you know, yeah, I've worked with Marlon before, and we took care of Comp Grant as well as the whole housing authority. We had an individual in that office in purchasing that had probably paid window 3 times, 4 times, Johnson's Lumber, Billings Lumber, you know, Lowe's, you know, all these places had been paid over twice at the most, and that was that, you know, we had all these outstanding bills, vendors that didn't want to work with the Pro Housing Authority, and when Marlon came on board, him and I, we froze everything. And even at that, no one even knew we froze everything for 2 months because we had credit at Crescent, we had credit at Windor, we had credit at Billings Lumber because of the overpayments of these bills. And so I was able to take care of those 10 units that Clifford had authorized to be taken care of without any setbacks in any of the phases of the construction project. And during that time, Mr. Martin Passes had reestablished relationships with other vendors, reestablished relationships with old vendors as well, and we implemented new policy towards contracting, and they had to be bonded, they had to have insurance. A lot of good things that come about at that time, and once we lined everything out and made everything look good and got everything back in the black and books look good, then we got let go. So that's just the way it goes. So, but I can vouch that, you know, when Marlon says he's going to do something, he does it.
More comments? Not. I guess,
There is no more comments. There's we can probably do this sometime. There's LR, and that was for the COLA that we talked about earlier, last week. And, no, this week, no, last week. So, you want to look it over? Yeah. Okay. There's the cost of living adjustment. Yeah, let me do that, and we can probably. Yes.
See, they got this for information for everybody.
For information for everybody, yesterday what time was it, Jay? 4:53?
4:38.
4:53. 4:53. Bill White submitted that request for a special session. It's on their desk. They wanted to for the budget proposal. I don't know if it was a typo or an oversight, but the 15 days from yesterday is the 20th, not the 19th. I'll talk with the speaker about that. So anyway, for heads up to everybody, that way everybody's aware that special session was requested, and that's one of the reasons for the calling of this revenue meeting, so we can get the budget started, so we can get that approved before that time, so the committee chair can make a recommendation, and if he's not here, secretary of the committee can make that recommendation for him. Good as got.
Yeah.
All right, this is for clarification and information.
Or we can have a recommendation ready for the, could be already done. Because I'm gonna be on the travel status that time, at that date, so. We could get it done before then.
You know, I, kind of under pressure right now to the 20th. Unforeseen events is something that occurred with my sister has cancer. Why would you, my illness, all of it, pushing our doctors up. We don't expect it to make it. It's not been a burden on me and my family. It was just brought it back down to a week ago, just in the hospital. Fractured tubes, going to chemo, doctors said, she's gone 8 times. She's fine. Right. So, you know, a good Lord knows what's going to happen. We're praying for a miracle that we should see it gets back. So, prayer in mind. Her name is Rita Rios. I don't know if you guys know her, but that's her name.
Okay, let me read this into record, into the committee. Okay, a resolution of the Crow Tribal Legislature to establish a semi-annual cost of living expense payment for the elected legislative officials. Legislative findings, whereas the Crow Tribal Legislature, parentheses, legislature has the power and duty under the Article 5, Section 2 of the 2001 Crow Constitution to promulgate and adopt resolutions in accordance with the 2001 Crow Tribal Constitution and federal laws for the governance of the Crow Tribe, and whereas Article 5, Section 3 of the Crow Tribe Constitution provides that the legislative branch shall be compensated on an hourly rate basis for their services and entitled to expenses in accordance with tribal policy, and whereas the senators of the legislature are currently compensated an hourly base rate of $25 for their services as provided for in Legislative Resolution 08-21 and previous tribal policy, and whereas the cost of living expenses, including but not limited to food, fuel, and utilities, have increased significantly since 2008, whereas no increases in the hourly rate of pay for the elected senators has been made since passage of LR 08-21, and whereas the Revenue Committee has determined after review and deliberation that it is in the best interest of the legislature to establish tribal policy which provides for an annual cost of living expense payment for the elected senators. Now, therefore, be it hereby resolved by the Crow Tribal Legislature in special session, Section 1, it shall be the policy of the Crow Tribal Legislature to provide a semi-annual cost of living expense payment for the elected senators in lieu of an increase to the hourly rate of pay. Section 2, in furtherance of the above stated policy, there shall be made to each of the elected senators a semi-annual payment each December and June, which in sum shall be equal to 4% of their gross annual base rate compensation, which is currently $25 per hour for 2,080 hours each year, for a total of $52,000. Section 3, that the fiscal year 2012 Crow Tribal budget for the legislature, as authorized by CLB 12-03, is hereby deemed modified to incorporate such expenditure authorization to incorporate this policy. The finance officer of the legislature shall take all necessary and appropriate measures to implement this resolution and shall immediately report to the Speaker of the House and the tribal comptroller on the legislative branch budget modification. Section 4, this tribal resolution shall take effect immediately upon becoming duly adopted by the legislature, a certified copy of which shall be immediately delivered to the tribal comptroller and tribal CPA by the Secretary of the Legislature. So that's the extent of the LR that we will discuss in further committee meetings, but I'm not reading it into record at this time. So if you want a copy of this, Jay can give you a copy for you to look over if you have any further comments on it.
Question, please.
Go ahead.
If I can remind the committee and the body here, I believe we never even got to adjourn from our actual, we're still in special session. we get our quorum, I believe we can, we still gotta put the cloud peak issue into committee. That's still on the floor. It's still in the middle of a motion. And I believe that's the only thing pending.